Welcome to the RPG After Years, your weekly show covering all things RPGs, past, present, and future. I'm Jay.
I'm Scott.
And I'm Rich.
Today we are covering the PS5 Showcase, and specifically the reveal for Final Fantasy XVI.
Woo! Jay, you didn't say that with nearly enough energy.
I was like,
Final Fantasy 16 was revealed, man.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on. So today we do have an RPG club meeting at the end of the episode. So we are going to skip our
Catch up.
I don't even remember. Yeah, the catch up. I don't even remember what it's called anymore because we haven't been doing it.
We never do it anymore.
There's so many reviews and clubs and
We're on it.
Yep. So let's just go straight to the save state. So the first thing to mention is that the RPG After Years does have a really awesome Patreon. So with our Patreon, some of the benefits that you get are early episode access, ad-free episodes. You can get access to the Aftercast, which is a fun little like side podcast that we do where we get a little distance ourselves from the actual video games and start to dive into a little more I don't know, social topics, but still try to relate them to video games. We also have some extra reviews out there, usually done by Scott and Corey. They are very into playing games that Rich and I are not playing. We also have RPG Club nominations and voting and much more. So check that out on patreon.com/RPG After Years.
And speaking of the Aftercast, we just released one, right? It was about fitness and the correlation between fitness and gaming.
And that was so usually we try to keep the Aftercast short, but that was like an entire hour.
We have a lot to say about that.
Yeah, we did. And we will also be recording an Aftercast episode today. So that's rare.
Yep.
To get them so close, because usually we're like, okay, we're done recording. I'm going to see you. Talk to you next week.
We're supposed to do one of those every month, but this is the 6th one, and we started in January. So
hey, that's not too bad.
We're too behind.
Yeah. And for those on Twitch with us, we will be recording the Aftercast right after this, and we'll be streaming it. Normally, it's Patreon exclusive, but this is your one chance to catch it if you're not giving us money.
And quick little hopeful news. So I bought a gaming PC. Anybody on the Discord will see that. I'm very excited about it. So I bought all the parts, and it's apparently good enough. I don't know anything about what's good and what's bad really. But that's coming. And the first game I'm going to be playing on Steam is Final Fantasy 13, and streaming is so easy on the PC. So I'm looking forward to being able to stream 13, especially since most people have probably played it and beat it at this point. So I don't know. I feel like nobody's going to get spoilers, and so people may actually watch.
I will. I'll jump on whenever I can when you're streaming. I love 13, so the whole trilogy. Yeah, I'm looking forward. Jay's been very excited about that, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes for him because I want one too. So, but yeah, so on Twitch we stream every episode live, usually 9 a.m. on Sundays. That's 9 a.m. Eastern. Not always. We try to announce our schedule ahead of time, but you know how it goes. You can find us at twitch.tv/RPG After Years.
Speaking of the RPG club that we mentioned, you have until October 4th to finish the game in Wild Arms. Again, the next RPG club will take place October 4th. Somebody put the date wrong.
My bad.
I read what's in front of me.
You corrected yourself though.
I did. I was like, oh,
I would not
right.
have corrected myself. I'm like, yes, September 4th.
Yeah.
Are you going to make it,
next year.
Rich?
Let's just go on.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
And then people have started asking what the plan is for like the next game and all that for the RPG Club. So the plan is nominations will open that same day, October 4th, for the patrons. The voting or the nominations will run 1 week, and then the voting will open on October 11th, and then close a week after that on the 18th. At that point, we'll know what the game is, and we'll have our kickoff, like everybody start playing 1 week after that. So yeah, look forward to that.
So Bill also has a show that he's doing solo all by himself. It's called Bill's JRPG Adventures and Other Trappings. So what the Monstania review has gone live, and his current game is Super Robot Wars. So check that out. He got a new mic, so the quality is there. Very, very good. So something that I did not actually put down in the document, but I think the anime corner is actually going to happen. We did a vote in the Discord on some shows for me to watch and then kind of monologue a review of a season or two, or maybe the whole series if it's good enough. So that's going to be kicked off. I'm not going to set a date for that though, because I want to take my time and I procrastinate, but also I want it to be fun, something that I enjoy to do. But I'm going to be starting that with the original Full Metal Alchemist series. I hate every single person who voted on that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So yeah, check that out. That will be, I haven't decided whether that's going to be a Patreon benefit or if it's going, if I just want to release it to the wild. We will see though, depending on feedback.
Yep. And as you guys know, me and Corey have been very slowly working our way through Brotherhood. And we watched an episode last night and something very different from the original series happened. And I'm pissed about it. So maybe I'll talk to you about that after this.
Oh, yes.
And then one more announcement. I think this might be the last time we announce this in the save state of the podcast, but we do have a merch store. It is live. It's got our album art and our logo all over it. I think Senator will have some more. We've got some more art in the works by our artist, Mrs. Dizzy. And yeah, you can find that at Redbubble. Just search RPG After Years.
Alrighty, so let's move on to the news.
I never have that ready.
Hear ye, gather round for all your news. Stop your clatter and listen close. Alas, you won't believe your ears. Listen close for the news.
Alrighty, so the first item up on our news segment is the PC system requirements for Cyberpunk 2077 were released. Doesn't look too crazy. Minimum system requirements is Windows. You need at least an i5 processor, 8 gigabytes of memory. I don't know anything about these graphic cards, but it looks rather tame. And then 70 gigabytes of storage. But the recommended system requirements are quite a bit more than that. They do recommend having an i7 or a Ryzen 3. Everything. So looking at this, the computer I just bought should be able to play this game. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to do it on the PS4, and then hopefully get it for the PS5 for free. Maybe Sony will do that. I don't know if that was agreed on or not. For the most part,
it was for Xbox. I can't remember if it was for Sony or not.
Yeah,
I'll find out.
Yep. So this seems relatively tame for the most part. The recommended system requirements do recommend 12 gigabytes of memory, which is kind of a lot for most people. But yeah, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. So how future proof did you make your PC? Like, do you think it's going to be able to run like PS5 shit?
I didn't make it that future proof. I can add more RAM to it because it's only going to have 16 gigabytes of RAM. I'm pretty sure I have a decent graphics card that should last a little while, but I'm pretty sure like in a month it's already going to be out of date. So I mean it's certainly going to play everything that I would want to play on it for the known future. Because if it's out on the PS5, I'm going to get it for the PS5, not the PC, most likely.
I just love it. He gets it day one, out of date.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Son of a bitch.
I think we'll probably in a little bit be talking about the jump, the generational gap between PS4 and 5, but we'll get there. But yeah, I'm glad that apparently you will be able to play that. In related news, CD Projekt Red also has said that the campaign for Cyberpunk 2077 will apparently be shorter than The Witcher 3's because a lot of people didn't end up finishing the whole story.
They're coming at me, man. I saw this and I was like, God damn it. No.
They knew.
They knew.
For those that don't know, the other day I saw a tweet from Jay about what your favorite game is. It's like, what game are you playing now? What's your favorite game you're playing this year? And something like that. And what's your favorite game of all time? Jay put Witcher 3. And I was like, wait a minute. Jay hasn't even finished that.
Nope. So much. It's so much.
So this is probably a good thing for you, right?
Yes, it is. It is a good thing for me. So the main campaign of The Witcher isn't that long. It's everything else that is ridiculously time consuming.
There's a quote here. The difference between a completionist run and a main story run. We do know that the main story run in Cyberpunk 2077 is slightly shorter than The Witcher 3 because we got a lot of complaints about Witcher 3's main story just being too long. Looking at the metrics, you see tremendous numbers of people played through that game really far, but never made it to the end. We want you to see the full story, so we did shorten the main story, but we have lots to do. And in terms of a completionist campaign, I just don't have that number.
Thanks, Guy.
How Long to Beat says Witcher 3's main story is 51 and a half hours, and a completionist run is 172. So,
I don't know about that.
I
Well,
was going
maybe.
to say that's shorter than my Persona 5 run, at least, but
Yes.
we didn't come even close to doing a completionist thing of Persona 5. So, so yeah, this is probably a good thing overall. I know I don't want to spend forever playing Cyberpunk necessarily. We'll see. At least there'll be plenty to do after that.
All right. So the next thing is Monster Hunter Rise revealed, I think. Yes. And it's coming to the Switch March. So I'm not too much of a Monster Hunter fan. I haven't played that many of them. So basically, this one is called Monster Hunter Rise. It's a pretty big hit in Japan. So I think they said that this one will be a main storyline entry to that. And it's more for skilled players who've, pretty knowledgeable to the series itself. So I don't know who plays Monster Hunter.
Jay does.
Jay,
what do you know about this, Jay?
Yeah, what do you know?
Nothing. I don't know much about it.
It was revealed in a Nintendo partner showcase this week, and despite it being Nintendo, I usually don't watch those because I've yet to be blown away by anything they reveal in those. But
I really like the Monster Hunter series. It just seems like Monster Hunter Rise is going to be just part of the main Monster Hunter series, not one of the spin-offs.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the main ones where you're just a homie who slays some monsters and uses their carcasses to forge your weapons and armor.
Doesn't sound like it's for me, but as Rich yawns.
Sorry. Oh, it hit me hard. Okay, so but
Monster
another
Hunter
thing too,
bores Rich very much,
Yeah.
apparently. No.
it does. But Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin was announced. So that is a continuation of the Monster Hunter. There was a 3DS game, I think, Monster Hunter Stories. So this one's more story driven.
I have not played I haven't played Monster Hunter Stories at all, but I have heard that it's actually like a story in the Monster Hunter world, which is I'm pretty sure it like there's a little more human connection with the monsters that you spent the entire last few games like just gutting and slaying. So I don't know. I think that's kind of funny that you have these games where your sole objective is to cut the tails and the arms and the heads off of these monsters, and then here's this other game where it's like, oh, I love this one though.
Now they
This
have
one's-
feelings.
This one's my friend. This one I shall name him Toothless, even though he has teeth.
They also have more of a cartoony art style than the main Monster Hunter games, right?
Yeah, that's
I know
what it looks like.
I know the first one did. I don't know about the second one.
It does. I'm looking at some of the screenshots with it. It definitely has more of an anime feel to it. Yeah, it looks like you'll connect more to some of these monsters as opposed to what you were saying, Jay, was just go out and murder the monsters and take their legs and stuff.
Genocide on these creatures.
Yeah. This one, feelings. Last one is just don't care. I'm gonna kill everything I see.
So maybe for those who are interested in Monster Hunter but wish they had more of a story, maybe try Monster Hunter Stories.
Yeah.
Real quick, they announced like 3 Amiibo that are coming out alongside those, and I have to decide if I'm going to get them, because at one point I told myself I was only going to buy like the Smash and Mario and Zelda ones, and I have all those now. But now it's like, but what if I can't find them later? What if one day I decide I want all of them?
just do it.
Just do it.
That's what I did with this Mario All-Stars game, because I was debating on getting it, and then I was like, oh wait, it's gonna stop being produced in March. So
yeah, I probably would have gotten it anyway, but the fact that, man, that's a whole other topic. But the fact that it was limited, I was just like, I guess I better. One other thing, this Monster Hunter Stories 2, I saw that in like Japan or some territory, one of the pre-order bonuses is like a plush of one, like the main monster dog they're promoting. It's like the size of a human. It's like just a giant plush.
good
That's
God.
awesome.
So be on the lookout for that, anybody who likes giant plushes.
And
if
if in
you're in
Japan.
Oh yeah, Japan too. Import it. Play Asia.
All right. So next up, the Nintendo Direct that happened did have quite a few cool little tidbits. So I'm just going to quickly go through that. So Ori and the Will of the Wisp is coming to the Nintendo Switch, or I
Excited
guess
about
technically it's already. I think it might already be out. So go check that out.
There's 2 games in the series. The first one already came to Switch, but now they're saying the second one will as well, which is funny because I think at one point they said this game will never not be on Xbox, but
That's funny.
Here we are.
So next up, Fitness Boxing 2, Rhythm and Exercise is coming to the Switch in December. So we get another exercise game. That'll be interesting.
There you go, Scott.
I've got a friend that plays those.
So Disgaea 6, Defiance of Destiny, comes to Nintendo Switch exclusively in summer of 2021. This one actually looks pretty interesting. I might get it.
I
It
don't know much
bothers
about
me.
why.
Go ahead. Because I have 1, 2, 4, and 5. They haven't released 3, I think, on the Switch, and I'm like missing that middle one.
I can understand that.
It's pissing me off.
This guy is like a pretty big RPG series, so I imagine there are some people in our audience that are excited about that.
Yeah, totally.
I've never played one though. Have you played one, Rich?
I fired up one just to see what it was like.
You own them.
I own it. But it's something I will go back to. It has an interesting feel to it. So, because apparently, like the whole idea is that you can become so overpowered, and you can do like billions of damage to monsters.
Billions and billions and billions.
Yes.
I love being overpowered, first of all, because it makes games easy, and I'm an easy motor. So,
Yep.
But also, Rune Factory 5 is coming to the Switch in 2021. I've never played any of the Rune Factory games. I don't even know what they're about.
I thought
think
that was
Keith
announced
knows.
a long time ago. Or am I thinking of like the Room Factory 4 release or something?
It was a 4.
Okay.
Yeah, this was apparently just announced for 2021. No idea.
It's like if Harvest Moon was an RPG, I think.
Oh, well, I liked Harvest Moon, so maybe I'll check that out. So The Long Dark is made its way to the Switch at the same day as the Nintendo Direct. I have no idea what The Long Dark is. It's an exploration survival game. Cool. Hades also arrived on the Nintendo Switch that same day as the Direct. Empire of Sin is coming to the Switch in December. Sniper Elite 4 is coming to the Switch. That's kind of weird. But yeah, that's everything. It is kind of like a weird towards the end there. Sniper Elite 4 on the Switch. I don't know.
And you know what's missing? Is you guys
Is
probably
Nintendo
noticed.
allowed? Is Nintendo allowed to have guns shooting people?
Oh yeah, Resident Evil is on this whole thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
But
Well,
you guys notice what's missing?
You're not shooting people. You're shooting zombies.
Okay, fair enough.
He said
Borderlands?
That was it.
Is
for the
Borderlands on the
Direct.
Switch?
Yes, it is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you got 1, 2, and the handsome Jack thing.
Cool.
Yeah. You know what's missing though on this Direct, and I'm still very disappointed, is Final Fantasy 13 Trilogy. Still another.
Dude, I'm just gonna have to get it on Steam. I would love it
I
on
know.
the Switch, or to be released like the whole collection released on modern consoles. But
I'm hearing again from people that I talked to in the gaming community about a collection of 1 through 6. So
That would be cool.
that's
Rich-
I just
Rich
keep
is-
hearing that.
I doubt they would do that though, because they've never released a collection that big.
Why not? Why not
well,
now
well,
though? That's the thing. Why not?
I'm
now?
not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying Square sucks. So
They're very bad about giving us what we want. They're like, hey, we know you want this, but here's this other thing.
yes,
mobile
we
game.
we experience that every single time they release anything.
Yep.
real quick, one thing that we haven't talked about on the show, I think, is at some point in the last couple weeks or so, they announced Zelda Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity.
That's not
Which
an
is-
RPG.
Well, some
Yeah.
people say Zelda is, so I'm
No,
just
I'm
throwing
just
it
kidding.
out there.
They're wrong.
I
I'm just
agree with you.
kidding.
And this is a Warriors Muso game, so it's even well. I guess those are closer to RPGs than Zelda, in my opinion. But
Actually, I have no idea what you just said.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll pretend like we know.
do you know what a
Like,
warrior,
yeah.
like a Dynasty Warriors, that those types of games, where you're
yeah.
just
No.
like you're mowing down hordes of enemies, it's like that. But anyway, it's a canon like prequel to Breath of the Wild. Like it shows you what happened 100 years before the start of the game.
Oh, that's cool.
You
So-
can play as Link and Zelda and all the champions from Breath of the Wild.
Can I ask a question? I got a hand
yeah.
up.
Okay.
How old is Link? I mean, seriously.
Depends
100
on
years-
which timeline are you talking
Okay, I'm just curious because it's like 100 years before this game, and Link's in it. I'm like,
One of the plot points is in Breath of the Wild, or actually the basis is Link wakes up with no idea of who he is or what happened in the past from like suspended animation. So
okay. If you say suspended animation, I can get on board with that. Like he's been taken by
and it's
aliens or
exciting
whatever.
because one complaint I have about Breath of the Wild is 90% of that game's story has already happened by the time like Link wakes up, and you find out about stuff through flashbacks all throughout the game. But it's like nothing happens in the current day except for beating the dungeons and defeating Ganondorf or Ganon. So
Okay.
anyway, so I'm looking
You
forward.
just
to
made me not want to go back to it.
Yeah. Like I'm good. All right, so let's go over some of the games that have released in the last week. Hades for the Switch and PC, September 17th, exiting early access. I don't know what that is. I'm curious. Vampires Fall Origins, Xbox One and Switch, September 17th. Sands of Salazar.
Salazar.
Yeah,
Slytherin.
it's PC. That was September 22nd. And Tears of Avea, which Xbox One and PC, September 24th. The only one I'm curious about is Hades. Anybody know anything about that one?
It was revealed at the Direct and then launched the same day, right?
I think so. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I didn't watch it. So
Yeah.
as far as RPGs coming out in the next weekish or so, we got Zingian on Switch, September 25th. Genshin Impact on PS4, PC, and mobile, September 28th. Warsaw, PS4, Switch, Xbox One on the 29th for PS4, October 1st for the Switch, and October 2nd for the Xbox One. That's weird. I wonder if that's like Xbox One is our least favorite. So,
Yep, naturally.
Baldur's Gate 3 on PC and Stadia. Stadia's still kicking, huh? September 30th, entering early access. East Origin on Switch, October 1st. I bet Rich is picking that one up.
I might. I think that's a digital only though.
Oh, so you don't want it if it's not physical.
I mean, I do want it. I've got Yeast 7.
I just
for
hear
my-
yeast. Every single
yeast.
time you guys say yeast, I'm like yeast infection. I have
The
a yeast
origin-
infection.
The Origin one's pretty fun because the combat is literally just bump and grind. You just bump into monsters. It's
Bump and
pretty fun.
I need that drop
It's like a
that you guys
nightclub.
used to use.
Yep, that was a good one.
And you got one more there.
Me, you're the one reading the list.
I don't know what I'm thinking. I messed up. Code of Princess EX, PC, October 1st. And that's it for the releases.
Yeah.
I think Bill's going to be pretty excited about the Beholder's Gate one. I think he likes that series.
Oh,
Good
he's
for him.
wrong. So let's wrap up the news. So we're going to take a quick break before we move on to the main discussion.
No, it's delayed. Bill, edit that. All right, I'm going to go make sure Corey's up, and I'll be right
Okay,
back.
go kick him.
Body slam.
That's the love right there. They just run into the room and he just body slams him. Honey, it's time to wake up.
That's what I do.
Yeah, I don't do that to my wife because she'd probably stab me.
Indeed, probably. So how you
I'm
doing?
so excited. I'm good. I'm so excited for this Final Fantasy 16. It's just so awesome. Can't pre-order yet though. Wish
Well,
I
yeah,
could.
it's because it's 7 years until they release.
I know, but what they do. Oh, I shouldn't talk about it now. I gotta wait.
Soon, my friend.
I know. I
What?
know.
What are we talking about?
Well, I can't talk about it yet.
I just want to know what I missed.
Nothing. We think that you body slam Corey when you go wake him up. You just run in and just check him.
I do that sometimes. So,
But-
wait, are you guys ready? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
All righty, so we are on to our main discussion. We're going to talk about the PS5 Showcase very quickly, and then we're going to give all the love to Final Fantasy 16. All right, guys. So, did you actually watch the showcase live, or did you play catch up afterwards?
I did watch it live, but I went back and rewatched a lot of it after because I was working and like work blew up at the same exact moment that the showcase started, and I was like, God, don't you guys even know that the showcase is happening right now?
I didn't get to watch it live. I was working, but I had a buddy of mine that was watching it live. It was texting me like what had popped up, and as soon as the big trailer popped up for the kickoff, he's immediately all cap text messages like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "Oh, son of a bitch! I'm stuck at work."
Oh, also, FF16 was the very first thing shown, so I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?" Because I couldn't pay attention.
Yeah.
I was pissed.
That's hilarious.
But that's a good sign, though.
Yeah,
I
that's
did
true.
not. I did not watch it live. I did pay attention to the Discord blowing up with everybody talking about it, and then I like quickly went to Twitter to watch the 16 trailer, and then everything else was I just caught up on. I also had to work and prepare for like a presentation, so I wasn't able to quite give it my attention.
Discord
But-
was lit that day. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
The message here for everybody is that we still work during the day. Unfortunately, we can't just drop everything and do video game stuff. Sadly,
Not yet.
not yet.
But head over to patreon.com/RPG after years. Let's make,
And make
this
that-
dream
yeah.
happen, baby.
Yes. So, but there.
So the first
That's
thing
all.
we're going to cover is the cost of the PS5, and I think we've speculated a lot on what it would be, and I feel like it's kind of like a dead giveaway. But the disc version is going to be $499.99, $500, and then the disc-free digital version is going to be $400. What do you guys think about that?
I'm good with
Um,
it.
I'm happy because I was worried it was going to be 600, but it's not. So, I
Are
feel
you going to get the?
any
you
less
guys-
than that would have been.
I think we're all going to get the disc version, right?
Yep. I've already got pre-ordered.
nice.
I was
Yeah,
lucky.
That was a problem for a lot of people. Like the
Yeah.
pre-orders just dropped out of nowhere with no warning, and
Sony
That was
came out.
Walmart's fault.
Sony came out and was like, "Hey, we're so sorry. We're sorry.
I
It'll
was
be
like,
better next
I was
time."
like, "Fuck you guys, really?"
well, the thing is, Walmart released their like they did it, and then Walmart somebody screwed up at Walmart and released the pre-orders early. So all the retailers were like, "Oh, we don't want to lose out on that money, so do it
That's
now."
true.
And it just went a big cluster.
Walmart.
Well, the funny thing
always
is they
screwing
did that
stuff
whole
up.
thing where you registered for the chance to be able to pre-order. And
Yeah.
so that didn't even like amount to anything, I guess.
Well, that did. No, it did. Because I have a friend of mine that actually he signed up for that. He got invited to pre-order it. So he snagged one that way. And he's like, well, I mean, I'm glad.
Why wasn't I invited? Selected.
Because you're the Scott spot.
A,
I
B,
guess
C,
so.
D, E, F, G, H. That's why H is
Yeah.
halfway through the alphabet.
There you go.
So that's, I mean, it did work for that part, but they're gonna, like Jay said, they're gonna put more out. They know they screwed up, or I mean, they're gonna take
we got the holidays coming. They're gonna be pumping those babies out of like all the Taiwanese factories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I mean-
and not to mention, I mean, they did say they're gonna have more at launch than they did at the for the PlayStation 4, because I remember I had to go into a Walmart location. I was able to get there with a couple buddies of mine, and we were the only ones able to get the PlayStation 4 because we basically were the ones in line for it. They only had like 5. So
Man. Yeah,
it's
I didn't have any problems getting a pre-order either, but I know a lot of people did and still haven't been able to get one. So I just feel bad for those folks.
So I'm going to keep an eye out as much as I can for people. There's a guy, I think his name Wario64. I don't know if you guys follow him.
I've heard of him.
To make sure. He posts out a lot of stuff.
The bad guy in Mario, right?
Yeah, the bad guy. He posts stuff out a lot about links of which one's going live. I had one in my cart for Best Buy. I was trying to snag one for my brother, and I got through the checkout part of it, and I was putting the address for him in. And as I hit the checkout button to pay,
man, should have autofilled.
I didn't have I don't know why I did do that, and then all of a sudden when I hit checkout, it was gone. So I was
Your brother
that
lives
happens a
close,
lot.
right?
he does, yeah. He's like
Yeah.
he's here in my town, but he was busy hunting. He was dove hunting, so he couldn't he didn't have good signal.
Hunting. How fancy.
Yeah, he's very bougie. So
yeah, there are lots of alert services out there. So for anybody that's still struggling, I highly recommend getting signed up on one of those and just, turn notifications on for that account. So you get your phone dings whenever they post until you get it. That's how, it's not that hard.
So for the pre-orders, do you pay all at once or do you pay at whenever it's actually given to you?
It depends. Like with Amazon, you don't pay until it ships, and then GameStops, they've got their deal, which is you can do the pre-order with that. Walmart, you had to pay all up at front. Same with Best Buy. So there's certain avenues that you can do with that.
Yeah, I got it from Walmart, and Corey was definitely like a couple of days later. Why is our account lower than it was that much?
See, you don't worry about that, dear. You don't need to worry.
That's funny. All right, so moving on. God of War is back. We got a quick little teaser trailer talking about Ragnarok, but there was nothing revealed. It was just like a reminder that it's actually being worked on. So that's pretty exciting.
That was how they closed it out, right? The show, I think so.
No idea.
Yeah, I saw a meme where it was like, how there's those runes on the Omega symbol or whatever, the logo.
Yeah.
Somebody photoshopped it to where there's I translated it and it just says "fuck Xbox" on it.
That is funny. So also PlayStation Plus is getting an extra bonus. I don't know what this means. I'm just going to read the paragraph. Sony also announced the PlayStation Plus Collection, a new feature for its subscription service that lets subscribers play a huge range of classic PS4 games on their PS5. Best of all, it'll be available at launch in November.
Yeah, this is actually a really cool perk. There's 15 classic games, not classics, but games that were really considered generally good, if not better, that were on the PS4. They're just going to be available for free for PS5 users to play.
Does it have it out there already? There's a list of them?
The list is somewhere. I don't see it in this article, but
I'll have to look at that.
The only thing that I thought was weird was Persona 5 is one of the games, not Persona 5 Royal, which is not good because Royal is actually a huge upgrade. So it kind of sucks. FF15's on there.
Yes.
A bunch of
Although
others.
I have 3 copies of that.
If this is their answer to Game Pass, though, I got news for them. It's no Game Pass, but I'm excited. I think it's a really cool feature.
Very cool. We also got a good look at the next Spider-Man, Miles Morales. focused Spider-Man game. So that's really awesome. Shout out for representation of minorities. Very glad to see that. I also did
It
not
looked
know
awesome.
it looks fun, but it also just looks fantastic. So that is certainly going to be a game that I get.
Yep.
Yeah, and you can, if you pay for the $70 version on PS5, it comes with a remastered, like improved, upgraded version of the first Spider-Man game,
I can't.
Like
I can't do
which
that.
one? First?
like the PS4 Spider-Man.
Okay, I was thinking like the PlayStation 2 Spider-Man.
Oh no!
I mean, those games were fun, but
Yeah. Real quick, apparently games are going to be more expensive this gen. I think we've talked about that before, but it's actually
bumped up
happening.
another $10. Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends. There's a few games that I've seen so far on the pricing, $59.99, and then I've seen a couple $69.99. So I'm not sure if that's true or not.
I think it's going to vary based on the game. If I had to guess, if I'm guessing, most first-party games are probably going to be a little extra,
Which is fine. We knew that. We knew that was going to happen.
That's fine with me, but that's speaking from a very privileged place. So, that's a whole other discussion.
Discount shopping and sales will be important. So
yes, they will. All right. So next up, we finally got a look at the long-rumored open-world Harry Potter game. So I've also seen rumors that this is an MMO, but I've not seen anything. Like most articles are just saying it's open world. It's not proven to be an MMO, and I hope it's not an MMO. But for the most part, this looks fun. I'm pretty excited for it, even though J.K. Rowling can go like burn on a bridge or whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, and we're actually going to have a whole aftercast episode dedicated to that specific topic. But the game looks fun. I'm a pretty huge Harry Potter nerd, so I can't wait for it.
So
I don't think the game actually looks that good, but it's definitely the best thing we've seen from Harry Potter by far.
And I think what they're going to be doing, I mean, not what I think they're doing. I think it's been announced that J.K. Rowling has nothing to do with this. So if you're concerned about that, is that she's involved with that? No, you don't have to worry about that. So
she's still getting paid. Though.
She's getting paid, but she has nothing to do with. Unfortunately, she's going to get paid. She did that. She did the series and everything, but
right.
She has nothing to do with this.
We'll be talking about all of that at length on the aftercast. So people on Twitch, stay tuned.
Yep.
So up next, Resident Evil Village had a trailer. I did not watch the trailer, but apparently it looks terrifying. What do you guys think?
I'm mixed on this one because I loved the Resident Evil 2 remake and Resident Evil 3 because it brought me back to the zombies, and that's what I love. But with 8, it's getting a little bit more away from that. But I did hear a rumor that it's causing problems with development with the PS5 and the new system.
I think I read that too somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's not going as well, but they'll just have to. I mean, I'm sure they'll figure it out. It's still about 2 years out. So,
7. Look, I haven't played 7, but it looked good. However, this Resident Evil 7 and 8 are so different from what I think of when I think Resident Evil that I'm just like, not my RE when I see these.
Yeah, it's getting away from the series. At least the storylines behind it, the whole corporation virus stuff, kind of 2020 what we're dealing with. But it's got werewolves.
They're just changing it to go from the zombie virus. What's it called in this? The
T-virus.
T-virus.
Yeah,
it's just gonna be called the Chinese virus.
Yeah,
good.
Well, because in the games, it's the T virus, the G virus, Ouroboros, whatever the new one was.
The Plagas. I don't know what the new one is. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and then this other one,
1,700 strands.
Yeah, and then the 7 one is just some mutant goo crap. So we'll just call it the goo crap.
Okay.
So, have you played? You've never played 7?
No. I'm going to eventually, but me and Corey are trying to go through the whole series. I think 5 is next for us.
If you play the VR,
5 was on the Wii, right?
Yeah.
4 was. 5 was PS3 and Xbox, I believe.
And PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
Cool.
If you play it VR, it's rough, but you can also buy a candle and burn the candle as you play it, and it smells like shit.
Wow. Oh yeah, I remember that. That's so weird, man.
Uh,
That is
anyways,
weird. What?
continue.
It's like
Sorry.
a rotted flesh candle that you to immerse yourself. Oh no. Moving on.
Yeah.
Devil May Cry 5 is getting a special edition. So this is a game that's already out and it's just being relaunched on the PS5 with as a special edition. I used to be a huge Devil May Cry fan. One of these days I'll go back and play the good ones at least, because some of the older ones are kind of rough looking back.
It looks
Five Nights
cool,
at
but
Freddy's is coming to the next gen. I've never played a Five Nights at Freddy's game, so I'm going to just glance on past that. We also got a better look at the Demon Souls remaster. So lots of people excited about that. I'm not, but I'm
yeah,
happy
the
for
Souls
the people
games
who
are very popular. Like people are really excited about this, but they're just
And they
not
like to
for
be punished
Yeah.
a lot. I don't like to have that much of a challenge.
me. Right.
Easy mode.
Easiest mode, I should say.
Easiest mode.
There
Indeed.
you go.
All right, and so last up, Final Fantasy 16 was revealed. So we got a pretty long trailer. I was surprised by the length of the trailer overall. So we got to look at the general aesthetic of what they are planning for the game. We got to look at the current iteration of the combat. Yeah, I don't know. What do you, Scott, thoughts? Go.
Here's the Scott thought. I I'm tentatively very excited. Like I'm just excited to have 16 announced. There's a lot of like disconcerted feelings in the community right now, and I think it's because it doesn't look super polished, I guess, and people are saying it looks like, oh, it's just FF15 all over again with a more of a 14 aesthetic. Me, I don't feel like I've seen enough yet to judge one way or the other, so I'm gonna stay positive for now. What about you, Rich?
All right. So whoever was in the Discord channel saw me do my little soapbox thing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the
You just
whole
came undone.
I did. It just pissed me off. So seeing a lot of people have a huge love for the 16 announcement was tremendous, and I that's amazing. People are still excited about it. But what really threw me over was the ones that were very negative about it. You know, like Scott said, it's a very early stage of the game, and it's not going to be polished. They're not going to show you the final product right off the bat. As you remember, 15 went through several different changes to that. So it's coming change. We got combat, so it's a lot further along in development. I thought the combat looked really good. 7 remake definitely paved the way for that.
it definitely you could see the inspiration from both 15 and 7 remake as far as the combat goes, but I can also tell it's its own thing as well.
Yeah.
So,
and then what really kind of threw me for a loop there was people already threw out their comments about not having enough female representation for it. I'm sorry, but it's a 4-minute trailer that we didn't get much story on it.
Hey, that's me. I said that, Rich.
I know, I'm throwing at you. Not just you, but there's other people saying it. But I could bash on you. It's fine. But my thing is, we don't know yet. We have no idea the story. We know we know one character, I should say, right? The name of one person is named Joshua, and that's that little kid. So that's it. We don't know anything else. So before people start giving, like,
Could have been Joshua.
Yeah, it could have been.
Could have.
But before people start really hammering in like what they want in the game or what's missing, it's 4 minutes. So we have no idea what's going to happen. The summons look really good. The story's been speculated on a little bit. Some of the theories are pretty wild. But my hope is for the female representation part of it, instead of a female lead, person being, the center stage of it, I would much rather have a female villain that's very compelling. So that would be pretty cool to see.
I haven't had one of those in a while.
Yeah, that's just a badass. That'd be something to see.
Yeah, I agree. And so I don't think anybody, at least in the Discord, nobody was bashing the lack of female representation within that trailer. It was more talking about the lack of female representation, like strong female representation in the series in general. Because we only got it in like a strong female lead. Because Yuna's not strong. Like Yuna, the until like way late in the game, the entire time she's riding on the back of people and has a super annoying voice.
Yep.
But
This is
10-2,
my deadpan face. Like, I'm just not going to say anything.
10-2, it obviously gets better because it's all female leads. But
I mean, you got 13 with Lightning and Sarah and Fang, and then in 15 you got Ariana. She's pretty a strong, dragoon person. She's kind of badass.
that was my favorite
I'm pretty sure
character.
she's only there for the tits. So let's
We're not going to
let's
say
be
anything
real.
about that. So yes, I hope there's more female representation. I hope there's other representation in there too. But we should not just be saying like, "Oh, I'm going to hate this game because it doesn't have that female representation right off the bat for a 4-minute trailer." So
Yeah, for sure. I don't think anybody should be saying that it's going to be a crappy game based off of the trailer. I
Yeah,
think
'cause we don't
it's
know.
fair to say that it's going to be a crappy game based off of Square Enix's recent history. But 7 Remake was very fun. It was a super great game. And 15, like I enjoyed 15 for what it was. I'm really hoping that they learned their lesson from the mistakes that they made in 15.
No
and-
more fetch quests. Sorry.
Yes, aesthetically speaking, I did feel like the colors were very bland. So very, I don't know, like it did totally look like a trailer for Final Fantasy 11 or 14. More
It was
11.
very dark looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they could polish that up once it's, getting closer to it. I mean, they could just be doing a pre-alpha build. They just needed to put something together and
Like I want a main character with blue hair or like red hair. Like I already have brown hair in real life. Why would I want to have brown hair in this game?
Yeah, the main guy definitely doesn't really. His design does not like strike me or anything. He looks like vanilla white bread, like every other Final Fantasy protagonist.
He very much looks like some English dude who's like working on a farm, which is probably might lead into like the like he's a commoner. I've read like that may very well be some like what they're aiming for, but at the same time, like it doesn't appeal to me right off the bat.
And we know there's going to be some kind of time lapse at some point because we saw what he looks like now and then like what he'll look like later.
Mm-hmm.
And that reminded me of 15 as well because it's like, the same thing.
I hope it's a lot earlier on though. I hope the time lapse happens very early on. I don't want last hour. Oh, I'm 10 years in the future and now I look cool. I don't like a kid in a boy band.
Yeah. I look like Keanu Reeves. Basically is what he
So
that was a big thing too that they did not in 15 was they just had a huge time lapse and then nothing happened. It was like, hey, this is now what's going on.
So a lot of people wanted like Dark World to be like the second half of the story, like in 6. So
and I feel like they had planned for so much more. They just weren't able to do it because of the time constraints. So I hope that they are making better decisions this time. And I feel kind of confident that they are considering who they put in charge. I've heard that it's the team behind 14 and 14 is probably aside from like the main series that have obviously blown up in popular culture. But 14 is incredibly successful. So many people love it.
Yeah, we've got Yoshi P on the staff and he has like it's been a while since he's been directly involved in main stuff other than 14, but like he's one of those that hasn't really missed his shot at all in the series.
No, he cleans stuff up. So that's the thing. He goes in and cleans that stuff up. At least Nomura's not touching it. So that's a good thing.
That's the thing that so I'm excited that I'm pretty confident that the game is going to have a very stable story. It's going to have a very full story. I think they're actually going to hit deadlines and do what they are aiming to do. But I'm also not super confident that the story is going to be incredibly compelling.
So what we know so far is...
But I kind of feel like with the people who are involved in 15, anything Nomura touches, like it's a gamble. It's probably going to be a little wacky. It's probably going to see a lot of delays, but man, like it's a great story. Like it's very.
I hope so.
Yeah. It's like there are twists. It's like versus I don't know what's a very vanilla Final Fantasy story.
I mean, I'll say 8.
6.
I'd say 8's kind of bland a little bit.
That one goes off the rails though. So
Yeah, it does. Well, and think of this way too. They've already announced the thing. They've shown a good amount of the trailer and the combat and stuff. Think of 15. It took 10 years for them to do anything with it. It changed so much. So
yeah, we had like that. And so the same time that we were seeing stuff for 13, like trailers for 13, we were seeing stuff for Versus 13. And then so that was 2008,
yeah.
2007, 2008. And we didn't get it until 2016. So it's like, I really hope this doesn't happen again.
And I'm pretty sure the company knows better this time. They're like, yeah, we can't afford to do that because, I mean, there was a lot of speculation that if 15 didn't do well, it was going to tank the series. So
15 actually did do respectable sales wise.
Yeah.
So thankfully for that.
Yeah.
Real quick, Disa in the Twitch chat, she says, I think a female party member is a good idea. I think it was fine for one game to have an all male party, but I think it's a good idea to have a much more traditional one this time. And I think it would fit the medieval theme better too.
Yeah,
and I'm sure they
I hope
will.
so. That's one thing I'm worried about is we didn't get any.
It better not just be a
sign.
white mage. If there's a female person on the character, they better not just throw her
I
into the
agree.
white mage role.
That's one thing I'm worried about, though, is we didn't see any sign in the trailer of there being a party of characters.
Yeah, you just had the single guy jumping around like a monkey teleporting.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we can't say that for sure either way, but I'm holding out hope. I just really I don't want to be like one guy going around doing hack and slash stuff.
Yeah, same. I really want
knows?
a party.
And
And I
no
want-
fishing.
Like I would rather have. I don't know. I really like the like action adventure style of combat, but I'm kind of tired of it with high fantasy games. Like Tales does a pretty good job of being strategic and still kind of hack and slashy, but there's strategy behind it. So I was kind of hoping that we were going to see a combat system that was more like 13 or one of the sequels to 13.
A lot of people were disappointed that it seems like another action system, but I mean, I feel like
Even
I
a
was
combat
not
system like 12, I like 12 modified to where it wasn't so MMO like I could get behind that.
Yeah, I feel like we're never going to see turn-based in the main Final Fantasy series again, or I would be surprised anyway. So I was surprised that a lot of people were outraged about that. It's like, what did you think it was going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's the future. They always evolve and change things up. So unfortunately, that's it. We're not going back to the turn-based stuff, and I don't think it's bad in a sense. I mean, yeah, I kind of want that to be there, but
Mhm.
eh.
Well,
And I will
for the
say-
most part, like vanilla turn-based, I get really bored with. Like I need
Yeah.
something in there to keep me engaged.
Yeah, I get that. I will say the summons look incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, one of the linchpins of the story is going to be a battle between Phoenix and Ifrit, and that's even the game's logo, and that excites me because Phoenix is like kind of a B tier summon in the series
Uh-huh.
that nobody ever talks about, but I think it's one of the cooler summons actually. So seeing it
Yeah.
get the spotlight is cool for me. I did think Shiva looked kind of lame, but
Yeah, Titan looked pretty good.
yeah.
Yes, for the most part, I wasn't totally blown away by the showcase, like the graphic showcasing. Like I was expecting it to look a little bit better. Like it looked good, but given that it's a PS5 like main series game, I was expecting the actual the visuals of the CGI, especially non-gameplay cutscenes, to be a little more polished. But I guess it's early on, so I'll forgive them, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, 2025 we'll see the real one. So
Yeah.
We're not all
Disa
dead.
says she loved 15, by the way. She just thinks they have to really go more traditional to the roots this time. And she also agrees with Jay. She would love something like the 13 combat system, best of both worlds. But she says I'm right and that it's never happening again. So,
Nope.
all right. And then I was surprised, like that scene where the Joshua, the little kid, gets like blood splattered onto him.
Oh, that was good.
I was like, whoa.
So, are we allowed to talk about speculations?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. So
you can't spoil anything. We don't know.
Yeah. So somebody in the Discord posted like a potential leak or potential like I don't know, something from a forum that was the your main character is like basically the bodyguard of that kid.
Right.
And the whole idea is that there are very specific people who have who are like embodied with the powers of the summons. They have a specific name.
Well, I think
Dominant.
it was was it dominant or icons?
The person's
Dominant.
name is
It
a
was
dominant.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
and then icons are the summons.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I don't know. But so Joshua is a dominant with Phoenix, and then the dominant of Ifrit kills him. And that's like that's what, and then after the Ifrit dominant kills him, that's whenever the time lapse happens, and your character's like all like, oh, like I hate everything now because this kid and stuff and things, and he
That makes sense.
goes out on a mission to avenge him, which like some people might look at that and be like, oh, that's a very like vanilla story, like, oh, it's like somebody got killed, you want to get revenge. But I kind of welcome it at this point. Like,
If you want to break down any story, you can break it down to sound like, oh, that's so cliche.
yeah. Yep. But and apparently the main character is going to go through and actually either recruit other dominants or take the icons from them. So I'll be very interested to see how that
That would be
happens.
cool.
I would almost love to this character be like almost an anti-hero.
Mm-hmm.
Like sure, he's like overall like a noble person. He wants revenge on his, the young master that got killed that he was supposed to protect. But at the same time, I'd like there to be like an internal struggle of like him going a bit too far with his revenge plans.
I guess that we haven't had that since Cecil, really. I mean, he was sort of an anti-hero at the beginning, but he changes to, the Holy Paladin pretty early on.
Yeah, he does.
So that would be a new thing for Final Fantasy, more or less.
I'm more curious about the tagline about the crystal.
The crystals are back.
Well, not just
what
that.
the heck are the crystals going to have to do with anything?
Yeah, well, more of a...
doesn't the trailer say like, or something in the trailer says like, the crystals have ruled this world for too long, not anymore.
Yeah,
or
so that's
that.
the thought on it is like, okay, so what does that mean? So I don't know.
Yeah. It's kind of, I guess that's another thing. A lot of people are drawing comparisons to 15. Like in 15, you had this giant crystal that was like the power source for the world. So it's like, we going there again?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the people are tired of the crystals being the rulers, and they said, you know what, we're done with this crap.
Yeah,
you guys keep causing so much problems.
I don't know if you guys noticed, I'm wearing this is like supposed to be Noctis's shirt. It's got like the skull and crossbone print.
Oh, I see.
Oh, nice.
It's pretty cool. That's one thing I liked was Noctis's shirt.
He was styling.
No leather. It was really cool though. I noticed that they didn't have a lot of belts. So that's true.
Good. Yeah,
I did like that. A lot of people said that the fantasy setting it made it look really generic, but I also pointed this out as like everybody complains about how they want to go back to fantasy. Square takes it back to fantasy. This looks generic. It's like, God, can't
I don't know if it looks generic, but it definitely looks like art from Final Fantasy 11 or 14.
Yeah,
11 for the most part had a very like brown palette. So
yeah, it's true. So maybe it'll. But we've only seen a few minutes of it, and it looked like most of it was from early in the game. So
yep. So recap. Super excited. I'm looking forward to it. I mean,
it could be a pile of shit, and we're gonna buy it. So
yeah. I'm always going to be very skeptical of anything that Square puts out, just because of the past 10 years.
You've been hurt before. I know.
Yes, I've been hurt before. But yeah, I'm really excited. I think we should remain positive, and I hope that they don't screw it up. Have trust that they learn from their mistakes.
Right. Anything else about that before we go to feedback?
No, let's go on over to feedback. So we're going to start off with Satan. He says, I didn't watch the showcase, just a couple trailers. I think 16 looks pretty good, even if that stylish combat isn't usually my thing, but I'm way more hyped for Demon Souls whenever I get a PS5. I think if I had played 14, then maybe I would be more into what 16 could be, but I have no desire to ever touch an MMO. So that's basically a reference to the fact that allegedly the 14 team are mostly the ones that are working on 16.
Right. Tales of ROB says, as for the showcase as a whole, I didn't watch, but some games look interesting. But as for FF16, I'm very excited. But growing up on FF, that excitement is default anything. So yeah, that's what we were saying. FF will get me excited. That's what she said from the one trailer, though I am interested. Lore-wise, I need more info, but I'm excited to learn about a new world and characters. Graphics-wise, it looks like every other PS5 game, which is that they all look like PS4 games still. I'm also curious about the battle system and have accepted the FF turn-based is in a mainline game is gone. Yeah, at least we've all reached the stage of acceptance, it seems.
I haven't.
You're still stuck a couple stages back. We know.
I will not accept it.
All right. So Abrak says, I watched the whole showcase. Overall, it was great. PS5 price $399 and $499 was expected, but it's still kind of crazy. They could get the full power box down to $399. Must be taking a big hit on those. I guess I'm not sure what that means. Spider-Man looked fantastic, and God of War Ragnarok is hype as hell. Too bad we didn't get to see actually any of it. As for 16, my initial reaction was disappointment, but I've rewatched the trailer probably 10 times at this point and swung around pretty hard. It's not graphical showpiece that most FS are, but on the flip side, it looks like a real game that might come out in a couple years rather than a flat out CGI lie like most Final Fantasies reveals. Also, I like the focus on summons. It has the best version of Ifrit yet.
This is true. That
it does
Ifrit
look
looks
badass.
dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the demon in Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Bill also had a good.
Real quick, sorry. So Abrak was saying that he's surprised that the PS5 could get down to $400 because of like the hardware that it's packing. So when he said power box, he was like, that's a box of little power. He has SSD, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. And then on that same line, we didn't really talk about this, but we found out that apparently Horizon, Forbidden West, and Miles Morales are also going to come to PS4. I think a lot of people were disappointed about that just because it's like, oh, well, maybe this game isn't going to be as next gen as we thought it was going to be.
Yeah. But anytime you do that, yeah.
I feel that. Like, I'm kind of disappointed that Horizon's not true next gen either, but I'm sure it'll still be great. And then Bill pointed out somewhere that he doesn't believe that this is a Final Fantasy game until the hair physics improve, which is a valid point. And I think that's all our feedback.
Yes, it is.
So I think we're all excited. We should try to stay positive, at least until we know a lot more than we do now.
Absolutely. You guys ready to move on to the RPG club?
You guys are going to have fun with that.
All right, let's
flirt me real quick.
All right, everyone, quiet down. All rise. We're here today to bring to order the next session of the RPG Club. All in favor? All opposed? And looks like the ayes have it. Then let the RPG Club commence.
Alrighty.
Love that jingle.
Yeah, it is. It is fun. So this week we covered from the beginning of like Rudy's struggle, so right after the gate generator, all the way until after the Pandemonium. We were supposed to finish the Pandemonium, correct?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So real quick, as a general overview, those sections were the Forest Prison, De La Metallica, and Gemini's Corpse, and then the Pandemonium. Yep. So overall, this segment introduced like so many different little plot points that I was like, well, I didn't know this was a thing. Like, so we kind of kick it off, you know, Rudy, his arm was cut off and he's got like robot innards. He's got like weird metal innards.
But not a
And
demon.
He's not a demon, no. And everyone's like, "Oh, what the heck? What's going on?" And basically, they end up making their way to what's that little girl's face? Mariel. Yeah. And we find out that she is was it an L?
An
Eel?
eel. We
L-
dealt with her in a past
blah, blah, blah,
section.
blah.
We like saved her from some bullies and went to the forest mound with her. I can't remember exactly what. but
Yeah. So
I remember at
what-
the time I was surprised that her part of the story ended. I'm like, she's going to come into play again later.
yeah, she does. So we find out that she's an L because we go back to the forest mound and she's like, hey, this is a thingy that will take us over to the L dimension. So the reason we have to go there is because we think that the L's use. I really don't like not being able to pronounce that. They might have the ability to fix the crazy weird metal guts of Rudy. But one thing that I don't remember, how did we know that Mariel was the person to go to?
I guess it's because it's the only ill we know.
Oh yeah, you do find out that she was one. Yeah,
mhm.
that's right.
And so the whole technology that made Rudy metal or whatever, I guess they figured out the only people that would know about it would be the ill.
Yeah. So they go to the L dimension, which is basically like a snapshot of what Figelia, Filgaia. It's what Filgaia looked like. What was it, 1,000 years ago or something?
I just made a connection. That is exactly what Dreams Anarchind is in FF10. So
that is funny. So she ends up like stabbing herself to open the gate and all this kinds of weird stuff. And so they get intercepted by the L's and they're like, hey, what are you doing? And eventually they make their way to like a doctor who gives them some ideas. But first you have to go through the forest prison, which was a kind of a huge pain in the butt. So
yeah,
you have to go like a very specific way so it's easy to get lost. But I followed it the first time with the guide, and then I did not have the teleport spell, so I had to go through it like 2 more times because I didn't get the key. You have to get a key in order to unlock a chest in order to get like a rune. So I missed that.
I remember finding the key like just randomly, and I was like, "Oh, that's gonna fuck some people up later."
Right. So I had to go back through it because I did not grab the teleport spell at this point, and then back through it to open the chest, and then I thought I had to go back to Vasim, who was at the lab, who's the one who's like, "Oh, hey, this is like Guardian Blade. Go get the thing." I'm kind of yada yadaing over it because there's a lot of details that we will cover in the review, but apparently you didn't need to go back to him. You just had to go back to the regular dimension and go back to the Forbidden Library after you got the rune. And so that screwed me up, and I hated that I didn't have the teleport spell because I had to walk.
You have it now. You got to get.
I have it now.
It makes life so much easier.
And let me tell you, thank you to the game devs who, whenever you teleport, your ship is wherever you teleport. So it's not like you teleport and then you have to go back and like, oh, where did I park the stupid thing? It just goes with you. So I'm like, oh, thank
you. One thing I wanted to point out is when you go back to the eel dimension from 1,000 years ago, apparently the world map, it's like apparently the continents were floating in the sky back then.
Yeah.
But it reminded me very much of Chrono Trigger because there's a segment in that, a memorable part where you go to like a ancient kingdom in the sky and it looked almost exactly like it to me. But
Like, how are you making these continents float?
yeah,
How's
right.
that technology just lost throughout the ages? I feel
When
like you
did they
wouldn't lose
sink?
that.
What happened?
Yeah, to just fall and crush other things. What's going
Yeah.
on? But yeah, so once you go back to the Forbidden Library, go through like the you go to the end of the Forbidden Library that you were at the very, very beginning of the game. You get sucked into a book, and you got to do like go through this this other dungeon, which has the really silly puzzle where you have to like read the third and the fourth books and then open the third and the fourth chest.
Mhm.
And I would not have caught on if it wasn't for a guide.
Yeah, I tried to like, I had the guide too, but so it wasn't a problem. But I was like, how would I have figured that out based on what I read? And then apparently it's like a translation problem. Like,
Oh, really?
it makes more sense in Japanese or whatever.
Yeah, because I was like, I read everything, and I don't ever recall feeling like I shouldn't read everything here, but
Mhm.
I don't know. Yeah, that's whack.
And then there's the puzzle where it's like you have two directions you can go over and over, and you have to pick the right one based on what the slabs say. I got
It's
stuck there.
right, left, right.
Yeah, something like that. And for some, like I wasn't paying attention and just picked one at the beginning, so it like fucked me up because I couldn't figure out where I was. I had to like go to a YouTube guide, find where they found an inscription tomb that I was looking at, and then follow what they did.
Yep. So actually, I think you go through the left one, right one, left one, right one. I think that's the
That
correct
sounds
way.
right. That
And
sounds right.
I only knew that because the guide. I was like, I'm not good at deciphering things. I'm not smart.
Did you get the Necromicon?
I did not. I actually did this about 4 hours ago.
Oh, nice.
So
Congrats, Jay. No wonder you had to wake up early.
yes. So I did not. I skipped right through it. But you end up getting all the way through here, and you get, what do you get? The what's his face's rune, Hades rune.
Right.
Yep.
It's too bad that you skipped past it because that Necromicon book that you can get is really overpowered. Like Cecilia
Is
is
it?
she's like a monster with that thing on.
Well, she's already like doing really well now.
Yeah,
So
I just know you like being OP, so
yes, indeed I do. So now that you have the rune, you have to take them back to Vassum, don't you?
yep.
Yeah, you take them back to Vassum and to have like the to create like the sword thing, and then have the operation to fix his arm. And
So
then
he gets
there's
a
like,
second arm.
yes.
Though he still uses a sword in battle, so
Yeah, that's weird.
you
But-
have the dream sequence here, extended dream sequence.
Yes, and I thought this was where a plot point was introduced that I had no idea was even a plot point. So you go through the dream, then all of this stuff, and apparently Cecilia learns how to love, or like
Yes.
like
Well, there's some character development here because she's trying like really hard to like convince Rudy to escape his dreams, like leave his comfort zone. Of the old man Zeppet, who is who?
Mhm.
Is it Zenit or Zeppet?
I have no idea.
Apparently, he like helped raise Rudy.
Zenit, yeah, Zenit. Zenet.
yeah.
Zenet. I have no idea.
There's like a dream eater monster that comes out of nowhere for Cecilia.
What is it named?
fight-
Elizabeth?
Elizabeth, yeah.
Elizabeth.
But the part of the dream where Cecilia is like holding Rudy as like the dream sort of like is crumbling around them. I thought that visually was really cool looking, and I thought it was like a really cool scene actually.
I just found it so weird that it was like this entire section of the plot. Like, sure, it was a little bit of character building for Rudy, but it was all about Cecilia and like her realizing like, oh, I don't want to help him because I want to, save the country. I want to help him because I love him, because I care about him. And it's like, da-da, Cecilia learns how to love.
Yeah.
And then
Well-
like the goddess of love like shows up. It's like, here, take my love rune. And I was just like, I had no idea that Cecilia had to learn this. Why, like, this was never explained that she was like, this was even something that we would even be shown.
Well, there was a subplot where like she thinks no one likes her or would love her because she's the princess, and like any affection shown to her is fake. That's been brought up a couple times. And
Has it
during
been
this,
brought up a couple times, or just like one time?
definitely back when she cut her hair.
That was 20 hours ago.
Yeah, right. But she's like, oh, but people actually don't love me because I was afraid to accept the love or whatever. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. You're right, but it's definitely to me like
Cecilia got her groove back. Is
Yeah.
what happened.
It was definitely one of the coolest scenes to me so far, and that's not saying a whole lot because none of us are in love with this game, but.
So after that, after you being the Dream Eater and stuff, everything's all vanilla. Rudy's all good to go. I found it weird that like in the conversation, he doesn't say anything. Like whenever she's talking to him, he just nods his head. Like, okay,
In silent protagonists.
come on, say something, buddy.
Cancel them.
Yeah. And then apparently, so I don't think I caught this. Vasim tells Rudy if he can accept that he's not a human, he will awaken to new powers, and calls him the Pandora's box.
That's going to come
I
into play
actually
later.
totally skipped learning the move Fury Shot. I did not do this. Oh, I didn't go back and talk to Vasim at all. So hopefully,
No, you should do that. It's his level 4 ability that you can use in battle. So
I should probably do that.
it lets you shoot 4 arm shots at once. So yeah. Or rather, it's like an arm shot with 4 times the power, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole next thing becomes that Emma back in Adlehyde is trying to build an airship, and in order to do that, you need 2 Gemini circuits. You sort of watch it crash and burn with Bartholomew captaining it, and he apparently has to go to the hospital. And Emma's like, "Well, we still got work to do. Go get him."
Yeah, that is funny.
Um,
I found some of these comments that they've been making, like I feel like it's an attempt at the translation trying to be funny, but it just is more
It's flat.
weird.
Yeah.
Like whenever she takes them down to the like underground lab, Jack's like, "Hey, this is not legal. Like, what are you doing? You're not supposed to do this." And she's like, "Oh, I skipped it." Yeah.
I wasn't sure what I was getting into, so I didn't bother getting a permit. It's like,
And I'm just thinking, like, Jack, why is that even a concern? There are demons, man.
right.
Like, just let her do her thing.
So you get the prototype version of the airship, which they call the proto wing. And they said they almost called it the Gull Wing, which at first I was like, 10-2. But you split up into 2 teams. Of course, your main party is one of the teams. You go to get the Gemini circuit from a place called Gemini's Corpse.
I was expecting something way cooler than what it was. Like whenever I saw Gemini's corpse, I was like, "Oh, we're gonna go into like the corpse of a mountain."
Definitely wasn't a corpse. It was just another generic dungeon. So
this dungeon, I also I did not follow the guide at all. I just tried to like speed run it and had no issues. I wasn't even using my brain. I was just like doop 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 scoopy doop.
The main thing here is you have to like take jewels out of statues and then move them to other statues and things like that.
I was just grabbing every single jewel that I saw and then just put them in other statues.
There is a new arm you can get here if you're like using your gems, right?
Or something or other, yeah.
Yeah, but I had to go back for it because I missed it somehow.
Yeah, so that's not too complicated of a dungeon, and then you fight the mech Drake. That's kind of the boss in this one.
It's pretty cool looking.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Super easy too. I didn't have any difficulties with it.
I'm not having any problems with bosses at this point anymore.
Neither am I. Apparently, there's an optional section, Heaven's Corridor. It's a ruins north of the current abbey. So I did not do that at all.
It was a very annoying dungeon because it has floor traps everywhere. Like it sends you back to the beginning of the dungeon. So if you don't know where they are, then you're fucked.
Interesting.
And then you have to do this puzzle where like there's a green gem that mimics your movements, and you have to like finagle yourself to where you actually touch it.
Oh, interesting. That's actually pretty cool. But yeah, so after you get the Gemini circuit, you go back to and give that to Emma, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, you
And
give it to Emma, and then
you find out that the other team has their circuit too.
yeah, they have their circuit, but danger, they get attacked by something.
Stone
Right?
mermaids, apparently, which you don't
Stone
actually
mermaids.
see, which is weird. But
Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird. So the ship was sank, and another strange comment gets said. So somebody was like, "Hey, why aren't we fighting back or something?" And somebody says, "This isn't the USS Missouri." And I'm like, "What?"
so the fourth wall was broken. Like that immediately made me like, what?
Yeah, I was like, this is weird. And yeah, the ship just like blows up. And then we have your characters have to go to the ship graveyard to go and find the circuit. I felt like this overall was unnecessary. Like this secondary, like now we got to go get the freaking circuit that they lost. Like why? Why did you need to introduce this?
Well, it
this
seems
line as
pointless
well?
because all you had to do was like go back to the ship where they washed up.
Yeah, I'm like,
I don't know if it was supposed to be like a puzzle, like remember everything always washes up at the ship graveyard, but it's just like, well, I didn't need to do that.
yeah, that's a good point. They maybe tried to make it a callback, but it,
Mhm.
not that. I don't
Right.
know. For me, it was just like this was entirely pointless.
So you get the powered up airship, and so what did you think about the airship?
I thought it was good.
It looks cool, and I think the effects, like graphically, are pretty cool too. You
Yes,
can
and
just
the
sort of
fact
zip
that
around, and
we can now go anywhere for anything without random battles. So I'm here
yay!
for it.
But then you go into your last section here, which is the Dungeon Pandemonium. So in general, the team gets split up, right? And so you have to like bring them all back together and do a jailbreak.
Can I say that this my favorite puzzle, like favorite dungeon so
Really?
far? I really loved how all three of them had to interact and um like hit sections of the puzzle to like release, the like
Mhm.
unblock somebody else who was going through it. I just thought it was really cool. I did act so at the end you can optionally try to just go. Like I was only Rudy. I had every like the Emma and Jack on their subsequent tiles at the
Yeah.
very end of the puzzle, and I didn't go the right way and just try to go down the stairs, and that's like, oh hey, I'm the boss battle here, go back to your cell or fight me. I was like, okay, I'll fight you. And I
Oh,
was
you tried
only
to do it
Rudy.
with just Rudy?
Yeah, and I died. I was like, no, okay, I need to figure out how to go get them. And it's like just the next door over, you can just go get them.
And there's a little part here where you get to control handpan. It's
Oh
over
yeah,
very quickly, but I thought that was fun.
yeah, that was fun.
So you get to the top of the dungeon. You get like some random bosses sicked on you, and at this point they're forgettable because they're so easy. But you find the dark teardrop, which apparently is going to reverse the effects of Cecilia's teardrop to rain down destruction from space and destroy the ray line.
So real quick, one thing at the beginning of the pandemonium, you like briefly see somebody that Jack seems like he remembers, and then it like so you see Lady Harkin, and then she like flashes and turns into some other woman, and then they like take her, and Jack like gets all flabbergasted and stuff, and then here again you see Lady Harkin, and like throughout the scene, like at some point in the scene, she like turns back into
Elmina.
Elmina.
By the way, on the last, not that it wasn't super obvious or anything, on the last club segment, I totally called this.
Yeah. And so I feel like this is okay, I get it. This is like Jack's whole personal storyline coming to like a culmination, coming to its peak. But I'm like, this also wasn't really necessary. Like Lady Harkin didn't also have to be some human that somehow is now a demon or something. But
We'll find out more about that. But apparently, this is the whole trauma that he's been referring to the whole game, is that he wasn't able to protect Elmina.
And his name's not Jack, it's Garrett.
Yes, apparently he used to be Garrett, and
And then-
they haven't actually told us why it changed yet, right?
So in the game, his name is Jack Van Buren. And
Oh.
whenever he in that cutscene, the commander's like, "Your name is now Van Buren because Garrett's stupid. Garrett is a stupid name." And so he's like, "Yes, I am Van Buren." And then at the very end, he's like, "I am Van Buren. I am, I couldn't tell you because of my past. I was a thing in the night." And I'm like, "Okay, Van Buren, I get it. Why Jack? Where's Jack come from?"
Right.
But I don't know. I just felt like that was so odd. Like, okay, your name's Garrett, and then Van Buren,
I got the
and
impression
then
that
Jack Van Buren.
Van Buren is like a type of knight or something.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But
At least they're
but
trying to
also,
do
yeah.
something interesting, I guess. It's just not really landing for us, I guess.
yeah, it's not landing for me. I feel like it's all these threads that we have to keep track of, and like individually the threads aren't too bad, but they're very thin, and they're just like sprinkled on top of all this other stuff. So it's like 5 minutes of story, and then it's kind of over.
I
It's
feel like the
well,
quality of the writing is not up to par with what they're actually trying to do story wise, I guess.
yeah, and it also might be translation.
Probably. So I guess that's where we ended right after we get out of Pandemonium. Everybody's still together. I think there's a part where Jack apologizes to Cecilia saying like, "I gave you such a hard time, but I was just as bad." Again, referring to something that happened 20 hours ago. But so overall thoughts, what did you think of this section?
So gameplay wise, I really enjoyed this section. I liked getting the ship. I liked that Pandemonium puzzle. I thought that was really fun.
Mhm.
I don't
that
like.
it was a little shorter.
Yes, I love that I could do it in one morning, just about. So
Yeah.
yesterday I got to the a little bit past the forced prison, and then this morning I finished it up. Yeah, I'd say it's probably the my favorite segment so far.
Yeah.
And I am interested in the little plot points that they are introducing, but it's like there's just so much, because it's like, oh, now we know that the demons are still a threat and they're going to destroy the world, but also Jack has a thing, and then Rudy had a thing, and Cecilia learned how to love, and like, I don't know, there's just so much going on.
Yeah, I feel you. I like it generally too. It's fine. Nothing to write home about. I feel a little bit more positive about the game once we'll get to this in a second, but Colin like sort of put it into perspective as to how long ago this thing came out. So with that, thinking about that, I'm a little bit more forgiving of it. But it was a fun section. The dungeons weren't too bad. I didn't really like De La Metallica, and there are some problems with how the enemies can just one-shot you if they're lucky with the status effects. Like in the Pandemonium dungeon, there's an enemy that can paralyze you, and I died a couple times from that because you only have one character. But overall, it's pretty good. So I'm looking forward to seeing like how this thing finishes up, and then we'll get to our real thoughts in the review, I guess. But
Yes,
we want to see what our listeners thought.
Yes, let's move on to the listener feedback.
Okay.
So,
I'm first, right?
yes, you are.
Okay. I'm trying to get the link here. Okay. Mini BT says, section feedback. I enjoyed this section, and I liked how they did a callback to the whole everything washes up at the ship graveyard. It's funny how that was one thing we singled out as not liking. Forest prison is doo-doo, and I don't like one-time only dungeons. I agree with him on that, especially if they have something important or super good only in it, which the Necronomicon, which is so OP, is missable. I have mixed feelings on the story. I'm enjoying it, but it feels like they are trying to pack so many things into the world that it all feels shallow. Golems, dream chasers, eels, time travel, airships, lost technology, demons, demon war. It's like they give a little touch on each and then just move along. So that aligns pretty well with what we've been saying.
Mm-hmm.
So Mini BT is on the same page as us, apparently. And then you want to get Satan's?
Yes, I can. I can actually talk for once.
Rich can read.
I can read. So Saitan says, to me, the game really started to become a chore for most all aspects, other than a few boss battles and the puzzles that I find enjoyable. The story, I just totally lost my place here. The story isn't doing anything for me, but to be fair, I know most of it's not just some of the little things. The constant party being too slow has become beyond infuriating, even though the invisible spell has helped keep a lot. The music is still great, but at this point, we are just hearing a lot of the same stuff, and I already know this OST very well. And a lot of these older JRPGs usually don't have the best overall writing for story, etc. But it's when they have that old school charm that makes them enjoyable, and I'm just not feeling it as much going back to this game for whatever reason. Fair assumption.
I think Satan has not been too positive on the overall experience so far, which is funny because I think he was hyped about it going in.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. So Colin says, long story short, I still and forever will enjoy the series, but agree that the story is very all over the place and not very deep. But I also have to take it from the time frame it was released in. It was a grand undertaking with many ideas to present. As a first for its style and series, there will always be things that stink. I will probably find time to play the remake and give a comparison somewhere down the road, maybe after I have a podcasting set up myself. It was also released not long after the N64. Super Mario 64 released that same year, Mario Kart the week before, Dragon Force on the Saturn, Super Mario RPG, and a few other notables. The grand scale was to keep the attention on Sony and the PlayStation. Did it succeed? Nope. Did it find a following? Yep. Can anyone think of any other RPG set in an Old West style with magic elements derived from native beliefs? Nope, at least not at the time. So I wouldn't have even been able to name this as that particular. Like, I didn't know this game existed until this RPG club.
I'd heard of it and I'd heard good things, but I didn't knew like next to nothing about it. But
I had no idea that it was remade.
Yeah, it was. I don't know how much better the remake is, but the
Alter Code F.
Yep,
Interesting.
I think that's what it's called. So I think one thing interesting about that is, yes, the whole gimmick is it's an Old West RPG, but I feel like there aren't actually very many Western elements at all.
Yeah, it's just what's her face. That's pretty much it.
Calamity Jane.
Yeah.
There's a couple villages that are like feel Western, but and then he brings up a very good point. Like I was saying, I didn't realize this game was that old, like right at the beginning of the PlayStation's lifestyle or life cycle, I guess. So that does make me a little bit more forgiving, like I said.
Not me.
Also, I don't understand all the hype about the OST. There are some good songs, but I wouldn't call it a great soundtrack necessarily.
Yeah, for the most part, I'm actually pretty annoyed by the soundtrack. Like, it's getting kind of annoying.
Right. And then our last feedback, we didn't get a tea time from Bill because he sucks, but he did submit a longish feedback here for this section. So I'm gonna read it in his accent, or try to anyway. Feedback. I enjoyed this section a lot, especially in the save points. Dungeons, in this section, they were really fun and a good challenge. I really had issues with the one chess puzzle in De La Metallica. The Pandemonium party split with added handpan section was great fun. Airship, my first thought was, I wonder if that circlet washes up on the beach. Then I got sidetracked with upgrades and forgot what I was doing, so I had to look it up. But hell yeah to air travel. Also, skidding to a landing is really fun. He is right about that. Story, I'm really enjoying it. I feel a strong link between the team. Rudy the Blood Home Cross robot is a cool twist, even if I literally missed the fact that the demons are all mechanically enhanced. Cecilia has grown a lot. Rudy is slowly learning how to have personality, and now we're getting lots of Jack backstory. Next stop, the inn. Yeah. And that's it.
That's pretty spot on.
Yeah, very good.
So Bill has been very positive about this game in general. I think he has not lost any love from playing this. So at least we'll have some balancing of our opinions, I guess, when we get there. But yeah, that's all our feedback. So
Yep.
I guess it's time to close out the show.
Let's close it out.
Whoop whoop.
All right, everybody. So that wraps up our recap of the PS5 Showcase. So next week, we have the second part of the Persona 5 review, right, Scott?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I thought it was like my episode. I was like, oh crap, I don't remember what we're gonna do.
So part 2 will cover, hopefully, we're aiming to finish out the Persona 5 story. We've got lots to cover still, but we did pretty good in the first part, so we'll see.
Dang.
And then, so if you want to help out the show before we go, you can go onto your podcatcher app, Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or whatever you listen to, and drop us a 5-star review. The way the algorithms work is the more, the reviews actually shoot you up in the algorithms or whatever and makes your podcast more visible. So we're always looking to grow the community and grow the show. So we would very much appreciate that. But there is one more thing you could do that would help us out even more.
Yes. And that is with that sweet, sweet Patreon. With the Patreon, you get early episode access, ad-free episodes, the Aftercast, which they're recording one right after this, extra reviews done by, like we said earlier, mainly by Scott and Corey. So that's really good stuff there. RPG Club, but they just went over that, and many more things. You can find this at patreon.com/RPG After Years. And just so you guys know, we're on Twitch right now. We're live. Twitch.tv/RPG After Years. You can catch us streaming the episodes live.
Usually Sundays at 9 a.m. Eastern. And I forgot to mention earlier that there's a Last of Us 1 review in the planning for the Patreon. Jay and Corey and I are going to get together for that really soon, like in the next week or so.
Yep. So if you have some feedback for us or some suggestions on what we should talk about and you're not a part of our Discord, which the link for that can be found in a pinned tweet as well as the show notes, then you should email us at rpgafteryears@gmail.com. On top of that, we also do have a Redbubble store. So that's redbubble.com/people/RPG After Years. So on Twitter, you can find us at RPG Years. You can find me at JAYD Hizzle.
You can find me at the Scott Spot.
And me at HailBlue1569.
And you can find Bill at Matunaka.
With 2 N's.
2 N's. So that is all we have time for today, folks. So Final Fantasy XVI is officially on its way. Join us next time for episode 34 of the RPG After Years. I'm Jay.
I'm Scotty Too Hottie.
And I'm Richie Rich.
Bye, friends.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Not bad, fellas. I feel like that was a
Okay.
pretty good episode.
Yeah.